Now that we understand the root causes of fatty liver, it becomes clear what we need to avoid. The first is alcohol. This one's a no-brainer. But sugar, both added and natural, is also a major contributor to liver fat. Even if you think you're making healthy choices by consuming natural sugars from fruit, if you're eating large quantities, you're still putting your liver at risk. Similarly, starches, which break down into glucose and spike insulin levels, should also be avoided if you're dealing with or at risk for fatty liver. In conclusion, while it's crucial to avoid alcohol and sugar, it's equally important to take a holistic approach to your liver's health. By making informed dietary choices, prioritizing the quality of fats you consume, and keeping insulin levels in check, you can take charge of your liver health and keep it functioning at its best. When it comes to starches, many people believe that white rice and brown rice are worlds apart, but the truth is, there's minimal difference between them. Whether it's white flour or whole wheat flour, they both primarily convert into glucose in the body, leading to spikes in blood sugar. The same goes for the starches in potatoes, which are essentially just pure glucose once consumed. So, it's not just about avoiding certain types of grains but understanding their impact on your body's glucose levels and the way they affect insulin sensitivity. Now, let's talk about fried foods, particularly those fried in vegetable oils. These oils are highly processed and oxidized, turning toxic once exposed to heat. This is what makes fried foods so harmful to your liver. They add strain and contribute to toxicity. The damage done by consuming these oils is not something to be taken lightly, as they not only stress the liver but can also interfere with overall body functions. The next key point involves those who claim that eating starches like rice or potatoes isn't an issue for them. While it may be true that some individuals are able to tolerate these foods without immediate consequences, the scenario changes drastically if you're already dealing with a fatty liver. People with insulin sensitivity may manage small amounts of starch, but for those with fatty liver, stricter dietary choices are essential. This distinction is crucial when attempting to reverse liver damage. Let's dive deeper into whole grains, often hailed as a health food by mainstream nutrition advice. Whole grains, while better than processed sugar or white bread, aren't the magic bullet they're often made out to be. Grains, even the so-called healthy ones, break down quickly into glucose, which triggers insulin release. This rapid conversion contributes to the blood sugar roller coaster that should be avoided, especially if you have liver concerns. Additionally, grains are common allergens, with many individuals being sensitive to wheat, gluten, rice, and oats. As a result, they can contribute to inflammation and digestive distress, making them less ideal for anyone looking to improve liver health or tackle fatty liver. Given this, I'd place whole grains in the questionable category. While they might be tolerated by some individuals with good insulin sensitivity and no liver issues, they are not a reliable choice for anyone looking to reverse fatty liver. If you're dealing with fatty liver, or even if you just want to maintain optimal liver health, it's wise to limit your grain consumption. Now, onto a very popular term that's been used to market various foods: superfoods. There's a lot of hype around this concept, and I'm sure you've heard of it. But here's the thing, the idea of a superfood is a bit misleading. People often believe that eating one superfood can undo years of poor health habits or provide miraculous healing. But if you're constantly exposed to toxins, like mercury, for example, no vitamin or supplement will cure that exposure. Likewise, if a body of water is polluted, no amount of antioxidants or vitamins will clean it up unless you stop polluting it in the first place. This is why I have an issue with the term superfood. It's tied to an allopathic mindset that says, if you have a symptom, take a pill to treat it. The problem with this approach is that while a symptom might be alleviated temporarily, the underlying issue, the root cause, remains. A remedy may block the symptom, but it doesn't address what's truly causing the problem. And until the root cause is dealt with, the issue will persist. This is why a truly holistic approach to health is so important. Instead of searching for a quick fix through a superfood, the real solution lies in addressing the root cause. For example, if your liver is overwhelmed with toxins or fat, simply taking a supplement or eating a superfood isn't going to undo the damage. Instead, focus on reducing the toxins that are stressing your liver, improving your diet, and supporting your body's natural healing processes. That's the key to lasting health. Hello, health warriors! Let's talk about something vital: your liver. This remarkable organ is responsible for over 500 essential functions in your body. Without proper care, though, it can deteriorate into a fatty liver, suffer cirrhosis, or even progress to complete liver failure. It's your liver that works tirelessly to detoxify your body, and it needs to be maintained in peak condition. For a long time, the primary culprit of fatty liver was linked to alcohol consumption, but today, the main reason for this condition stems from the foods we eat. Many people are confused by the conflicting information available, and after watching several videos on this topic, I've found them to be inaccurate or incomplete. So in this video, I'm here to shed light on the truth behind liver health and guide you on how to properly care for it without the confusion. Let's start with some common misconceptions, particularly regarding what you should avoid in your diet. Many health sources advise avoiding sodium because it supposedly causes water retention. While sodium does attract water, this advice only applies if your body struggles to regulate sodium, such as in cases of hormonal imbalances, kidney disease, or certain endocrine conditions. But for the average person, sodium isn't a primary concern when it comes to fatty liver. In fact, this advice is misleading. Your body can manage sodium just fine unless there's an underlying issue. Next up is added sugar. This one is straightforward: avoid added sugars, as they are notorious for contributing to liver fat accumulation. High fructose sugars, in particular, are absorbed by the liver, and when consumed in excess, they overwhelm the organ. So, a huge green checkmark here: limit or completely cut out added sugars from your diet. Now, let's talk about red meat. Many sources claim that you should steer clear of it because it's high in saturated fats. While it's true that red meat contains saturated fat, this is not inherently harmful. We'll explore why this isn't a problem in just a moment. The key issue isn't the meat itself, but how it's prepared and the overall context of your diet. As for fried foods, there's a bit of debate. Some say you should avoid them due to their high fat and calorie content, which isn't entirely wrong. The problem arises from the oils used to fry foods. Most fried foods are cooked with cheap, heat-sensitive oils, such as vegetable oils, that undergo a destructive process involving oxidation, bleaching, and deodorizing. These processes render the oils toxic, which is why fried foods often carry more risks than benefits. However, if you choose to fry occasionally using healthy fats like coconut oil or lard, it becomes far less of an issue. There's also a pervasive myth that you are what you eat, which implies that eating saturated fat directly leads to fat accumulation in the body. But this idea oversimplifies things. Take a cow, for example. Cows consume grass, not saturated fat, yet their body still ends up with saturated fat. This process is called biotransformation, where grass is converted into fat within the cow's body. The same concept applies to humans. In our case, excess calories, whether from carbs or fats, are converted into stored fat. When this excess is coupled with high insulin levels, which promote fat storage, we end up with saturated fat in our bodies, not necessarily from the fat we eat, but from the excess energy we consume. So, what really causes fatty liver? It's not just about eating the wrong foods, it's about overload. When the liver is tasked with processing more than it can handle, it becomes congested, and certain substances that only the liver can process, like alcohol and fructose, pile up, further stressing the organ. Fructose, in particular, is extremely detrimental because it's 50% of all sugar. Consuming large amounts of fructose, whether from added sugars or natural sources like fruit, leads to fatty liver accumulation. So, when you overdo it with sugary fruits, like bananas, watermelon, or pineapple, you're still contributing to liver stress, despite the natural label. Another factor contributing to fatty liver is insulin. While insulin itself doesn't directly cause fatty liver, high insulin levels exacerbate the condition once the liver is already fatty. Insulin is a storage hormone, so high levels of it make it harder for the liver to burn fat, furthering the insulin resistance that often accompanies fatty liver disease. Now, let's address the topic of fats, specifically unsaturated fats. You've likely heard the conventional wisdom that saturated fats are bad, and unsaturated fats are good. While this is partially true, it's important to understand when and why unsaturated fats can be beneficial, and when they may not be. One type of unsaturated fat, monounsaturated fat, can be quite beneficial, and it's found in foods like olive oil and even meat. Yes, meat, despite the common misconception that it's mostly saturated fat, around half of the fat in meat is actually monounsaturated. So, not all fats are created equal, and understanding the type and quality of fats you're consuming is crucial for your liver's health. When it comes to fat storage, we need to understand that about half of our body's fat is monounsaturated. This type of fat gets a big green checkmark because it's beneficial for us, provided it remains minimally processed. This is why extra virgin olive oil is often recommended. It's cold-pressed with minimal heat and pressure, which ensures the oil remains intact without damage. It's a great source of monounsaturated fat and an excellent addition to your diet. On the flip side, we have polyunsaturated fats. These are the fats that cause a lot of confusion. Polyunsaturated fatty acids, PUFAs, are more unstable than monounsaturated fats. Their molecular structure is more squiggly, which makes them highly reactive. In order to turn them into usable oils for cooking or salad dressings, they undergo heavy processing. This includes oxidation, bleaching, and deodorizing, which, unfortunately, makes them toxic and inflammatory. If you get your unsaturated fats from sources like olive oil or even meat, they're perfectly fine. But if you're relying on vegetable oils or margarine, then you're introducing a lot of unnecessary oxidation and inflammation into your system. For that reason, I'd give polyunsaturated oils a big red X. Next on the list are soybeans and other types of beans. Soybeans are often hailed as a miracle food, associated with benefits for blood sugar and insulin resistance. However, while they might be slightly better than refined grains, they don't belong in a liver-healthy diet. The vast majority of soybeans are genetically modified, GMO, and soy is a common allergen, causing inflammatory reactions in many people. If you're insulin resistant or trying to reverse fatty liver, soybeans won't be your friend. In fact, they could cause more harm than good. I recommend avoiding soy, except for organic sources like tofu or miso, if tolerated. But for those with liver issues, beans are best left out of your diet. Oatmeal is often lauded for its fiber content and health benefits, but let's dive deeper into this. Yes, oatmeal can be better than white bread, but that doesn't make it a superfood. Oats, though better than processed grains, are still primarily starch, which quickly turns into glucose in your bloodstream. If you're gluten sensitive, it's even more important to be cautious with oats, as they may contain traces of gluten or cause cross-reactions. Even certified gluten-free oats can trigger immune responses in some individuals. If you're eating oatmeal, opt for steel-cut oats, which are less processed and break down more slowly, releasing glucose at a much slower rate. However, for those with fatty liver, I wouldn't recommend oats as a go-to food for reversing liver disease. Now let's talk about coffee. There's been a lot of research suggesting that coffee may help protect against non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, NAFLD. However, the studies often use vague phrasing like may help, or associated with, without pinpointing the exact mechanism behind it. This makes me wonder what other factors are at play in these studies. For instance, people who drink coffee might drink less soda or sugary beverages, which could explain some of the protective effects. While coffee isn't a cure-all, it's not harmful in moderation. If you have weak adrenal glands, you should limit your intake. But for most people, 2 cups of coffee a day should be fine. Just don't rely on it as some kind of superfood that will reverse fatty liver. Walnuts, in my opinion, are a solid food choice. They are high in protein, low in carbohydrates, and rich in healthy fats, making them a satisfying snack that helps reduce insulin resistance. They're not a miracle food, but they're a great addition to your diet. Just keep in mind that when superfoods are promoted, There's often an implied promise of miraculous health benefits that simply doesn't exist. Walnuts are good, but moderation is key. More doesn't necessarily mean better. Finally, we come to omega-3s, another type of polyunsaturated fat that we do need in our diets. Omega-3s are essential fats that support heart health and brain function, but we only need them in very small amounts. The key here is getting your omega-3s from high-quality sources, like fatty fish, rather than from processed oils. While omega-3s are vital, don't fall into the trap of thinking that they're a cure-all, or that consuming them in large quantities will magically fix any health problems. To get the omega-3s your body needs, one of the best ways is through fish oil supplements, or by eating whole fish. There's extensive research confirming that omega-3s are anti-inflammatory and have the ability to reverse many of the root causes of metabolic syndrome. When it comes to fatty liver, cardiovascular disease, or insulin resistance, omega-3s target the core mechanisms that drive these conditions, which is why they deserve a big green checkmark. However, it's important to note that not all omega-3s are equal. For example, flaxseed contains omega-3s, but they are in a form that's not easily converted into the essential EPA and DHA forms that our bodies need. Healthy individuals can convert some of the flax omega-3s into the beneficial types, but those with higher oxidative stress or insulin resistance may struggle to convert flax into EPA and DHA. If you're looking for a reliable source, I suggest getting your omega-3s from fish or high-quality eggs. And if that's not possible, consider a supplement. Cruciferous vegetables, such as arugula, bok choy, Brussels sprouts, and broccoli, are another excellent addition to your diet. These veggies are rich in phytonutrients that assist the liver in detoxifying the body. As long as you tolerate them well, feel free to eat as much as you like, except for rutabaga, which is a root vegetable higher in starch. While rutabaga is slow to digest, it should be eaten in moderation if you're actively working on reversing liver issues. Cruciferous vegetables are a great support for liver health, and you can enjoy them freely unless you're sensitive to them. Now, let's talk about meat. Although it's not widely recognized as a superfood, meat, especially red meat, deserves a spot at the top of the list. It's a nutrient-dense food, packed with high-quality protein, and often a very filling option. The rise in popularity of carnivore diets stems from the fact that red meat is one of the least allergenic foods available, which is why many individuals with food sensitivities gravitate towards it. Meat is also an excellent source of methane, which helps the body produce glutathione, one of the most powerful antioxidants we have. Moreover, red meat contains a balanced mix of saturated and monounsaturated fats, fats that are stable, non-inflammatory, and an excellent source of energy when consumed appropriately. When we overcome our misguided fear of saturated fats, red meat becomes a valuable ally in restoring health, particularly for liver function. Coming in at number 1 on my list, eggs. Despite their bad reputation due to myths surrounding cholesterol and saturated fats, eggs are an incredibly nutrient-rich food. They contain choline, which plays a key role in fat burning, especially in the liver. Eggs are also packed with vitamins B6, B9, and B12, which help convert the harmful compound homocysteine into the beneficial amino acid methionine. Methionine is then transformed into glutathione, our body's most potent antioxidant. Furthermore, eggs provide essential fatty acids, including EPA and DHA, which are critical for liver health. When you opt for pastured eggs, they often contain even higher amounts of these healthy fats. Eggs truly deserve a place in any liver-healthy diet. If you found this video helpful, you're going to love the next one. To master your health and truly understand how the body works, be sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and turn on all alerts. This way, you'll never miss out on another life-saving video. Your health is a journey. Let's continue it together.